Imagine stopping to comfort a crying boy in the park and finding out his father is the most powerful alpha in the city. Angie's fingers are still shaking when the plates hit the trash. Ceramic shatters against metal, sharp and loud, but not half as loud as the echo of that alpha's snarl in her head. "Watch where you're going, Omega." He'd grabbed her wrist when she tried to refill his coffee, fingers biting into skin already mottled from too many double shifts. Her wolf had flared. Not in challenge. She's not stupid, but in raw animal panic. Fight or flight. She'd chosen flight, her hands jerking, tray tipping, plates spinning, and then Mel's voice booming from the pass window. "Angie, what the hell?" She didn't wait to hear the rest. 20 minutes later, she's cutting through Whitestone Park with her daughter on her hip, cheap sneakers chewing up the manicured gravel. Lily is heavy with sleep, sweaty curls stuck to Angie's neck, tiny fist clamped around Angie's faded work shirt. The park is not meant for people like them. The condos that overlook it are all glass and money, and the faint reek of elite pack politics. But the park is the fastest way back to their crumbling walk-up and the empty cupboards waiting there. She has $47.32 to last until Friday. It's Tuesday. She's counting in her head, milk, diapers, maybe pasta if she stretches, when she hears it. Soft, hiccuping sobs, kid sobs. Angie's steps falter. Every survival instinct she owns begs her to keep walking. She has her own problems. Lily will wake up soon, hungry and cranky. And there's nothing in the apartment except half a box of stale cereal. But the crying punches straight through her ribs. Omega instincts are cruel that way, wired to respond to small sounds, small needs. Her wolf lifts its head, ears pricked. Pup. She sighs, shifts Lily higher on her hip, and follows the sound. Behind the ornate fountain, half hidden by an overgrown hedge, a little boy is curled on a marble bench, maybe 6 years old. His clothes scream money. Tiny designer sneakers, a navy sweater with a logo she recognizes from billboards, jeans that probably cost more than her rent. His face, though. His face is blotchy, wet, and utterly wrecked. "Hey there," Angie says softly, keeping her voice low and warm as she approaches. "You okay, kiddo?" He startles, scrubbing at his eyes with small fists. When he looks up, Angie's breath stutters. His eyes are pale hazel, speckled with dark gold, like sunlight through leaves. Beautiful, terrified. I can't find my dad," he whispers, voice cracking. He's trying so hard not to cry, more that her own eyes sting. "I was right here," he babbles, words tumbling out. "And there was this dog, and I followed it. And then he wasn't there anymore. And I called, and—" Fresh sobs tear out of him. Angie glances around. The park is quiet, the sun bleeding. Toward the horizon, shadows growing long under the oaks. It smells like sprinklers, expensive cologne in the distance, and the faint ozone of a storm rolling in. Not a place for a lost pup to be alone. "What's your name, sweetheart?" she asks, easing down onto the bench a careful distance away. Lily mumbles in her sleep, face buried in Angie's shoulder. He hiccups. "Theo. Nice to meet you, Theo. I'm Angie." She nods to the little curly-haired weight on her. "And this is Lily. She's not usually this quiet. I think we should cherish it." Theo lets out a watery giggle despite himself. "Can you tell me your dad's name?" she continues, keeping her tone light. "Then we can figure out what to do." "Everyone calls him Mr. Hale," Theo says. "But his name's Rylan. Rylan Hale." Angie's stomach drops. Rylan Hale. Every wolf in the city knows that name. Alpha CEO of Hale Dynamics. Owns half downtown, the other half owing him favors. Old money, old power, the kind of alpha people refer to in lowered voices. She should walk away. She should flag down a patrol car, let them deal with it. She should do literally anything other than sit here and get pulled into the orbit of a man whose shadow can blot out the sun. Instead, she adjusts her grip on Lily and sits closer. "Well, Theo Hale," she says gently, "for now, you've got me, okay? I'm not going anywhere until we sort this out." He nods, scooting toward her. As he moves, his scent hits her. Young wolf, new shift musk under the soft soap of money and something else. Something that makes her wolf straighten and bristle protectively. "Can you tell me what your dad looks like?" she asks, smoothing his messy hair off his forehead. The gesture is automatic, maternal. She bites back the flinch. Too many memories of older alphas snapping, "Don't touch what isn't yours." Theo leans into her palm like he's touch-starved. He's really tall, and he's got dark hair, but different from mine, and his eyes are like storm clouds. They scare other people, but not me, because I know he just looks mad sometimes when he's working. An alpha, her instincts whisper. Strong, dangerous. He wears suits, even on Sundays, Theo continues, and he smells like his office, like leather and coffee and being the boss. This time, Angie does smile. Being the boss has a smell, huh? Yeah, he sniffles. You smell like cookies and laundry and warm. Her throat tightens. Good nose on you. They sit like that for a minute, quiet pressed around them, like a blanket. Lily shifts against her, little mouth making a soft sucking motion. But she doesn't wake. "Do you have brothers or sisters, Theo?" Angie asks, more to keep him grounded than from curiosity. He shakes his head. "Just me and Dad. Mom died when I was little." The words are simple, but they land hard. Loss recognizes loss. Angie's chest throbs. "I'm sorry," she says softly. "It's okay." Theo's voice goes small. "I don't really remember her. Dad gets sad sometimes. He thinks I don't see, but I do." Angie opens her mouth to respond and freezes. Her skin prickles. Wolf sense howls. Watched. She lifts her head slowly, scanning the park. Between two oaks, half shrouded by shadow, stands a man. Even from 20 yards away, she can feel him. Presence like a thunderhead. Tall, lean, dressed in a charcoal suit that probably costs more than her yearly income. Dark hair, sharp cheekbones, posture that says he expects the world to get out of his way. His eyes, storm cloud gray, locked on the little boy pressed against her side. "Alpha," her wolf breathes. Very strong. Theo hasn't noticed. He's still looking down at his sneakers. "Theo," she says quietly, not looking away from the man, "I think your dad found us." Theo's head snaps up. She feels him tense, then light up. "Daddy!" He surges forward, but Angie's hand shoots out, catching his wrist gently. Something in the way the man is standing, perfectly still, coiled, sets off every alarm in her nervous system. "Let's walk together, yeah?" she suggests. "It's getting dark." Theo nods, gripping her fingers tight. She adjusts Lily, still dead asleep, and walks toward the tree line. As they approach, the man steps into the fading light. Up close, he's worse. Beautiful in that cold, sharp way power often is. Strong jaw, mouth set in a line that looks carved there. Eyes slashing over Theo, then up to her. His scent crashes into her. A punch of alpha that makes her wolf want to both bare its throat and bare its teeth. He's not just a strong wolf. This is territory-level alpha. Pack carving. City shaping. "Daddy, this is Angie," Theo announces breathlessly, still clinging to her hand. "She found me and Lily sleeping, and she made me not be scared. The Alpha's gaze flicks from their joined hands to Lily, slack-mouthed against Angie's shoulder, then settles on Angie's face. For a second, just one, something like surprise flashes there. Then it's gone, replaced by cool politeness. "Thank you," he says. His voice is deep, edged with roughness that betrays the wolf under the polished CEO. "I've been looking everywhere. He was by the fountain when I found him," Angie says, grateful her own voice sounds mostly steady. "He's okay, just scared." Those storm-gray eyes drop back to his son. Relief hits his features, so raw, it makes him look almost human. "Theo," he says quietly, "you know better than to wander off." "I'm sorry," Theo whispers. "There was a dog, and we'll talk about it later." The words are firm, not cruel. Then his attention returns to her. "I'm Rylan Hale." "Of course you are." "Angie Morales," she replies. "This is Lily." He nods at the toddler, then back to Angie. "I'd like to thank you. Properly. Perhaps I could—" "No need." The words tumble out too fast. She steps back automatically. Distance feels safer. "He's fine. That's enough. Run." Some part of her whispers. Before he starts asking questions. Before he smells how tired you are. How scared. Theo's hand clamps harder around hers. "You don't have to leave yet, do you, Angie?" he begs. "You can meet our car. It's really big." She looks down at him and feels the fight leave her. He's so hopeful, so desperate to keep this tiny pocket of safety intact. "I really should get Lily home," she says gently. "It's past her bedtime." Ryland's jaw flexes. "We can give you both a ride. It's the least I can do." Every instinct screams, no. Men with money and power always expect something in return. It's a law of nature, as sure as gravity and full moons. "Walk's not far," she lies. "But thank you. Really." She gently disentangles her fingers from Theo's and steps back again. "Take care of yourself, Theo Hale," she says softly. He looks like she's just told him Christmas is canceled. "Thank you for not leaving me alone," he blurts. "Not until Dad came." The words survive a hit, straight to her sternum. Angie crouches, ignoring the protest of sore knees. "You listen to me, okay?" she murmurs. "You're not alone. Ever. Your dad came, didn't he? That's what matters." She risks a glance up at Rylan as she says it. His face has gone unreadable, mask of the rich and powerful. But his eyes, some line in them has gone softer. Or maybe she's imagining it. She straightens, shifts Lily, and turns away before anything else can happen. Before he can ask where she lives. Before he can connect her to a lonely little Omega who vanished from pack records 3 years ago. "Wait." His voice rumbles behind her. She freezes, cursing her own body for the shiver that runs down her spine. Turns back slowly. He's watching her with a focused intensity that's almost physical. "How did you know?" he asks. "Know what?" "That he needed you to stay." His gaze drops briefly to Theo, now hovering awkwardly between them, then back. "Most people would have left the second they saw me." It's an honest question. It still makes her want to laugh. "I'm a mother," she says simply. "We know these things." She leaves before he can reply. But even as she walks through the darkening park, Lily heavy on her shoulder, and the first drops of rain dampening her hair, Angie can feel that gaze on her back, and she cannot shake the sick, electric certainty that something in her life has just shifted. The silence in the car must be horrible. Angie imagines it anyway, because for the next 3 days, she can't stop replaying that entire encounter like a glitching reel. She sees Theo's blotchy face, hears his little voice saying, "Thank you for not leaving me alone," feels that Alpha's eyes on her, weighing, measuring, but her actual silence is in a different car entirely. Her car wheezes when it starts. Check engine light glaring like an accusation. The heater doesn't quite work. The radio died months ago. She coaxes the old Honda the 3 miles to Mel's diner every morning and prays it doesn't finally give up. By the time the Wednesday morning rush starts, she's sick of her own name. Angie, coffee to table 4. Angie, watch your step. Angie, orders up. Her scent, warm vanilla, detergent, baby powder, fights a losing battle against coffee, bacon, and fryer grease. Phone's been buzzing. Mel grunts as she slides plates onto a tray. She frowns, snatches up the ancient cell from the shelf under the register. Unknown number. Local area code. Angie's stomach tightens. Unknown and local usually means either debt collectors or landlords. She forces herself to answer. Hello, is this Angela Morales? The voice on the other end is female, crisp, professional. Yeah, she says cautiously. Who's asking? My name is Mrs. Klein. I'm the head administrator at Westbridge Academy. Angie almost drops the phone. Westbridge is not a place people like her ever have reason to interact with. It's the elite private school where alphas send their pups to learn power and politics. I think you have the wrong number, she says quickly. My kid's not. I'm calling about Theodore Hale. Mrs. Klein interrupts. You're listed as his emergency contact. The world tilts. I'm sorry, Angie stammers. That can't be right. I met Theo once, in the park. He wrote your name and number inside his backpack, Mrs. Klein says. Her voice softens slightly. We only check those in unusual circumstances. He's had a very difficult morning. Guilt slams into her. What happened? He's refusing to participate in class, won't speak to his teachers, and has been crying on and off since drop-off. Mrs. Klein explains. When we asked what was wrong, he just kept saying he wanted Angie with the baby. We've tried contacting Mr. Hale, but his assistant informs us he's in meetings and cannot be disturbed. Angie closes her eyes. Of course he can't. He's not in any danger, Mrs. Klein adds, but he is extremely distressed. We thought, since he reached out to you on his own, she has 4 tables waiting. Rent due in 5 days. Lily at Mrs. Patel's upstairs, probably coloring on the walls again. Angie looks at the coffee pot in her hand. Then she looks past it, through the greasy front window of the diner, at the rest of her life. I'll be there in 20 minutes, she hears herself say. The principal's office at Westbridge Academy smells like old money, lemon polish, and hierarchy. Angie perches on the edge of a leather chair that costs more than everything she owns. Her jeans feel too thin, her thrift store sweater too worn, her calloused hands too obvious. Theo sits in the chair beside her, hands twisted in his uniform blazer. Want to tell me what's going on? She asks softly. He hesitates, eyes fixed on the floor. His scent is a mess. Anxious, embarrassed, hopeful. Tommy said I made you up. Theo finally mutters. He said people like you don't come back, that omegas with babies have their own problems and don't come to rich schools. Heat flashes under her skin. Tommy, she says flatly. Sounds like a joy. I told him you would come if I needed you. Theo continues. And he laughed. So he swallows hard. I couldn't stop crying. I tried. Mrs. Klein said I was being disruptive. Mrs. Klein was right to call me. Angie says, throat tight. You did the right thing. He peeks at her, eyes hopeful. Really? Really. I can't fix Tommy being a little jerk, but I can sit with you while it sucks. The door opens. The air pressure in the room changes. Angie doesn't have to look to know who walked in. Alpha scent hits first. Then the heavy, contained energy of someone who has spent his entire life being bowed to. Theo, Rylan Hale stands in the doorway, more disheveled than she remembers. His tie is askew, dark hair rumpled like he's been dragging his hands through it. There's tension at the corners of his eyes that didn't exist in the park. "Hi, Dad." Theo's voice is small. "I told you she'd come." Those storm-gray eyes flick to Angie, and something sharp flashes there. Relief, surprise, gratitude edged with something hotter. "Ms. Morales," he says, "thank you for coming." "It's just Angie," she replies automatically. "And it's fine." Mrs. Klein made it sound important. "It was," he says quietly. Mrs. Klein appears in the doorway, expression schooled into professional neutrality. They go through the motions: bullying policy, emotional development, coping strategies. Angie contributes when asked, and tries not to notice how Rylan keeps looking at her when she speaks, like he's cataloging the way she thinks as carefully as he catalogs assets. When it's over, Mrs. Klein ushers them out with a relieved smile, clearly thrilled to have the Hale problem off her desk. Theo latches onto Angie's hand again. "Can you come see my science project?" he begs as they step into the hallway. "It's about the moon and tides, and Dad doesn't like glitter, but Mrs. Klein says I can use some." "I like glitter just fine," Rylan mutters. "You like tidy," Theo says seriously. "Glitter is an enemy of tidy." Angie snorts. "I would actually love to see your science project," she says. "If your dad doesn't mind," she adds quickly, turning to Rylan. He studies her for a long beat, then nods. "I mind leaving my son distressed," he says. "Everything else is negotiable." They're bent over a poster board, covered in surprisingly accurate diagrams of tidal patterns when the world shifts again. "Why are you good at explaining things?" Theo asks in pure, unfiltered curiosity. Angie blinks. "Explaining what?" "Everything." He squints at his own crayon moon. "Dad always uses big words, and then he gets quiet if I don't get it." "You don't?" Angie's chest twists. "I had a mom who yelled when I asked questions," she says. "Made me feel stupid. I promised myself if I ever had pups, I'd answer every question 10 different ways, if that's what it took." "You kept your promise," Theo says solemnly. She swallows. Hard. She feels Rylan before she sees him. Scent, presence, that little tightening in her gut that says, "Careful." "Ms. Morales," he says from the doorway. Theo turns, face lighting. "Dad, did you know the ocean is like a big bowl, and the moon pulls it like—" "In the car, Theo," Rylan says gently. "We'll talk about it on the way home." He looks at Angie. "Oh, could we speak for a moment? Privately?" Every alarm in her body screams, "No." She nods anyway. The coffee shop 3 blocks from the diner smells better than Mel's by a factor of 10. Angie sits at the corner table, feeling wildly out of place, hands wrapped around a cup she's half afraid to drink. Rylan arrives, 5 minutes late in dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. The look does nothing to make him less dangerous. "Thank you for coming," he says, sliding into the seat opposite her. "You say that a lot," she mutters. He huffs the ghost of a laugh. "Theo likes you." That much was obvious. He's been fixated. Rylan continues. "Talking about you every day since the park. Mrs. Klein tells me his focus has improved when he thinks you'll be proud of him." Angie stares at him. "He barely knows me. Children aren't always rational about attachment." She flinches. That much she knows, intimately. "I don't know what you're expecting me to do about that," she says. "I'm a waitress. I have my own kid. I can't drop everything every time your son has a bad day." "I know." He looks genuinely pained. "Which is why I'd like to change the terms. Her hackles go up. Terms? I'd like to offer you a job, he says simply. Live-in nanny for Theo. Full benefits, private quarters for you and Lily. Salary 5 times what you're currently making at Mel's, was it? Angie just stares. This has to be a joke. Some kind of twisted rich person prank. You want me to move into your house, she says slowly, with my daughter, to take care of your son. Yes. You realize you know absolutely nothing about me, she points out. For all you know, I leave kids on balconies for fun. Color touches his cheekbones. I know enough. Cold slides down her spine. What does that mean? It means, he says carefully, that in my position, I don't make offers lightly. I looked into you, Ms. Morales. Of course he did. Of course this man, whose presence warps the air in a room, would turn his resources on one exhausted Omega, who made his child stop crying. Her chair scrapes back an inch. How much did you look into? Enough to know you work 2 jobs and are still 3 weeks behind on rent, he says. Enough to know you have no PAC affiliation, no local family, and you've moved 3 times in as many years. Her pulse thunders in her ears. Enough to know you're hiding, she translates silently. Heat rises in her cheeks. Humiliation and anger knotting together. So you thought, hey, vulnerable Omega with a toddler, let's offer her a gilded cage. His jaw tightens. I thought maybe I'd found someone who could give my son what he needs. And what's that? A mother figure who actually sees him. Ryland says quietly. Not a rotation of nannies who last 3 months before they burn out or get poached by another alpha. The words are a punch. Look, Angie says, voice rough. I'm not what you think I am. I barely know what I'm doing with my own kid. And I don't do well in packs. I noticed, he says dryly. She stares at her hands. I'm not safe. For your reputation, she manages. You can't have someone like me living under your roof. Your investors would faint. Is my reputation why you sat with my son in a park for an hour? He asks. Is that why you came to his school when he wrote your name in a backpack? That's different. How? Because he needed me. The words crack. That's what Omegas do. We answer crying. And what if I'm telling you my son needs you every day? He presses gently. Not just in disasters, in the quiet, in the spaces where I fail. His honesty startles her. Look, he exhales. You don't have to decide tonight. Think about it. He slides a sleek business card across the table. His name, embossed in silver, a number written in dark ink on the back. My personal line, he says. If you choose no, I'll respect it. If you choose yes, he hesitates. Then I'll make sure you and Lily never have to worry about rent again. Her throat burns. He leaves. The bell over the cafe door rings, bright and small. She stares at the card like it might bite. When she gets home that night, Lily clinging to her leg and the cheap apartment smelling like mildew, there's a bright orange notice taped to her door. Notice to quit. Tenant has 3 days to vacate premises. The world narrows to that line. 3 days. 3 days to find rent she doesn't have. 3 days before the landlord changes the locks and her kid's stuff ends up on the sidewalk. Inside, Lily toddles toward her secondhand toys, blissfully oblivious. Mrs. Patel shakes her head sadly when Angie shows her the paper. That man, Mrs. Patel mutters, heart like stone. He won't wait. Angie sits on the lumpy couch after Lily is asleep, the cheap fabric itching through her jeans. Ryland's card sits on the coffee table like a loaded gun. She's spent 3 years staying off radar. No PAC, no registrations, no bonds. Distance as a religion. She made it out once. She is not going back. But Lily, and Theo's little voice, you don't leave me alone. Her fingers move before her brain does. She picks up the card, dials. Rylan Hale. His voice comes through on the second ring. It's Angie, she says, heart in her throat. I'll take the job. By Friday morning, her entire life is in 3 boxes in 2 suitcases. It feels like a failure and a miracle all at once. The black SUV waiting outside the building looks obscene next to the rusted sedans and broken-down truck in the lot. A man in a tailored suit, human, but with the crisp attention of military training, steps out and offers his hand. Ms. Morales, I'm Grant, Mr. Hale's chief of staff. Chief of staff. For a person. We don't have much, she says. That's usually a good sign, Grant replies. Tone neutral, but kind. Less to break in transit. The drive up to Hale Estate might as well be a portal to another world. The house is not a house. It's a small palace of glass and stone on a hill that looks over the city like it owns it. The driveway curves past fountains and manicured hedges. There's a gate, cameras, wards that make her wolf itch. This is a lot, she mutters. This is home. Theo's voice shouts from the front steps. He bolts down before the SUV fully stops, the front door banging open behind him. His hair sticks up in wild angles. His sweater is inside out. He smells like pure, unfiltered happiness. You came, he yells. Lily came. I told Dad you would. But he said you might not. But I knew. Breathe, kid. Angie laughs, stepping out of the car. Lily clings to her neck, eyes huge as saucers. She looks smaller than ever against the looming house. This is your castle, Angie asks Theo. He beams. Yeah, it's stupid big. Language? A deeper voice says, mildly. Rylan appears in the doorway, all smooth control again. But his eyes soften when they hit Theo, then Angie, then Lily. For a heartbeat, his gaze lingers on the toddler. Omega scent, her wolf notes. Pup. Something in him responds. It's in the way his shoulders shift, in the subtle flare of his nostrils. Welcome, he says. Come in. The East Wing is yours. East Wing. Angie exhales. You really don't do anything halfway, huh? His mouth curves in the faintest smile. Not when it matters. Grant leans in as they pass. One piece of free advice, he murmurs. He's an alpha, but he's not your old alpha. Don't assume you know his rules. Cold licks up Angie's spine. She doesn't like that Grant can smell fear on her. She likes even less that he can read where it comes from. But she steps over the threshold anyway. Lily on her hip, and Theo grabbing her free hand like a lifeline. She feels the wards brush over her skin. Pack magic, security system, both. For a dizzy second, her wolf panics, trapped, and then it's gone. Home. Something whispers. She ignores it. 3 weeks later, it's harder to ignore. Routine sneaks up on her. She wakes up in a bed bigger than her entire old bedroom. Sunlight spilling across soft sheets. Lily babbles from the toddler bed tucked against the wall. A pile of stuffed rabbits and blankets that smells like safety. They eat breakfast at a table long enough to seat 20. Though most mornings, it's just the 4 of them. Theo chattering about school. Lily trying to feed herself yogurt. Angie intercepting messes. And Rylan half listening, with a small, private smile. He goes from Mr. Hale to Rylan, the second time she sees him make pancakes, because Theo mumbled something about, Angie's pancakes are better. You don't have to do that, she says, watching him flip batter like he's doing delicate financial surgery. I want to, he replies simply. Theo likes them. Lily seems to, too. Lily does indeed. She's got syrup in her hair and on her nose, and she pats Rylan's sleeve with sticky fingers, like he hung the moon. He doesn't flinch, That does something awful and wonderful to Angie's chest. It's small things like that, mostly. The way he always asks her opinion about Theo's behavior, not just the tutor's. The way he never walks into the East Wing without knocking. The way he visibly relaxes when he comes home and hears kid noise echoing off marble. The way his gaze lingers on her when he doesn't think she's looking. It's not subtle, and it's a problem, because her heats have been irregular since she went on suppressants to avoid ending up back where she started, at the mercy of alphas who smell needy omegas and see opportunity. But the stress is easing. Her body, useless traitor that it is, has started to wake up. She knows the signs. The way her skin feels too tight. Her scent gets too sweet. Her wolf prowls under her skin at odd hours. She prays, she gets warning. She gets about 6 hours. It hits on a Tuesday night. Theo's asleep, finally, after 3 stories and a long conversation about why some kids are jerks. Lily is out cold, clutching the tail of one stuffed rabbit in a death grip. The house is quiet. Angie is halfway through, folding a load of tiny socks, when a wave of heat slams into her. Not metaphorical heat, real, biological, Omegaverse heat. Her knees buckle. She sags onto the bed, lungs dragging in air that smells suddenly too sharp. Everything sparks, nerve endings gone electric, skin too aware of every brush of fabric. No, 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 she whispers. Not now. She fumbles for the little orange bottle in the bedside drawer, hands shaking. The suppressants made her foggy the last time. She'd hoped maybe her body had forgotten how to do this. No such luck. She dry swallows 2 pills and curls around a pillow, teeth clenched. The estate feels different in this state. Every trace of alpha in the air glows neon. Ryland's scent is everywhere. On the banister, in the kitchen, in the guest bathroom, because Theo wanted to use Dad's soap. Her wolf zeroes in, greedy and starving. Absolutely not, she mutters to it. We are not doing this. She must lie there a while, sweating through her shirt, because when the knock comes at her bedroom door, she's gone past coherent and into animal. Angie? Ryland's voice, muffled through wood, sends her temperature up another 10 degrees. Grant says he hasn't seen you since dinner. Everything all right? She clamps her jaw shut. He is the last person who needs to be near her right now. Fine, she manages. It comes out strangled, tired. There's a pause. Angie, he says slowly, you smell like... Another pause. She can almost hear his wolf sitting up. Open the door, he says softly. No. Angie. His tone changes, dropping into something low and edged with alpha command. Not a full order, but close. Please, she whispers. Don't. Are you alone? He asks. Are the kids with you? They're in their rooms, she croaks. Asleep. Stay away. I'm in heat. Silence. Then, a quiet curse. I'll get Grant to bring food, he says briskly. And water. Heat is dangerous without care. I've survived alone before, she mutters. That was then. His voice roughens. You're under my roof now. That makes you my responsibility. Her wolf preens at that. Her rational brain throws things at it. Footsteps retreat. She curls tighter around the pillow, riding out another wave. Half an hour later, the lock clicks. Don't, she protests, voice cracking. The door opens anyway. He stops just over the threshold like he's hit a wall. The room is thick with omega scent, sweet and sharp, laced with fear and stubbornness. She knows exactly what she must look like. Flushed, pupils blown, clinging to a pillow, like it's the only thing keeping her anchored. He looks wrecked. His control is visible. Every muscle taut, hands clenched at his sides, jaw working. His wolf is at the surface. eyes gone darker, pupils dilated. Food, he says hoarsely, nodding toward the tray he set on the nightstand. Soup, water. You need to eat. And drink. This is a bad idea, she grits out. You shouldn't be here. Probably not, he agrees, voice rasping. But I am not leaving an Omega I'm responsible for alone through heat, without checking she has everything she needs. Responsible for, she repeats bitterly. That's all this is to you? Something sharp flashes in his eyes. Do you genuinely think that? He asks quietly. She looks away. He takes one careful step forward, then another, every movement measured, like he's walking across cracked ice. When you came to this house, he says, I told myself exactly that you were a responsibility, a solution to a childcare problem, an asset. Another step. He's close enough now that his scent is a wall. But somewhere between you teaching Theo fractions, he continues softly, and Lily falling asleep on my chest every Sunday movie night, that stopped being true. She squeezes her eyes shut. Don't. I see you, he says, voice wrecked. Not just the way you smell right now, the way you laugh with them, the way you put yourself between any threat and anyone smaller, the way you flinch at raised voices and still stand your ground. Her wolf rolls over helplessly. Eat, he says, backing up a pace, shaking himself out. I'll stay on the other side of the door. If you need anything, you call. If it gets bad enough that we need a medic, you call. And if I need, she bites the rest off, mortified. He understands anyway. You have my scent in every room of this house, he says roughly. I'm not going to lie and pretend I don't want to be the one you cling to. Her breath shudders. But you deserve better than someone who takes advantage when you're not fully in control, he finishes. So I stay out here, unless you say otherwise. He sets the soup and water within reaching distance and steps back out. The door clicks. He doesn't leave the hallway. She can hear his back slide down the wall, the faint rustle as he lowers himself to the floor to keep watch. Her heat howls. Her heart, traitor that it is, howls with it. 3 days, 3 nights of aching, fevered dreams, and his quiet presence beyond the door, of Lily's little voice whining for Mama, and Theo's careful knock on the second day. Can I bring Lily to say hi from the doorway? And Angie, crying, because they're both so good, and she is so tired. On the 3rd morning, the fever breaks. The world comes back into focus. Color and texture and sound no longer too much. Her muscles feel like jelly. Her head aches. But she's herself again. She opens the door. Rylan is slumped against the opposite wall, suit jacket folded under his head. He looks like he's aged 10 years. His hair is a mess. Faint stubble darkens his jaw. He jerks awake when the door creaks. Hey, he croaks, scrambling to his feet. How do you feel? Like I got hit by a truck, she says. But better. His gaze searches her face. Something flickers there. Relief, frustration, longing. Thank you, she blurts. He blinks. For what? For not walking through that door and making everything worse. His mouth twists. That was not the outcome my wolf wanted, he admits. But my wolf doesn't get to decide what kind of man I am. Her throat tightens. Before she can respond, small feet pound down the hall. Mama! Lily barrels into her legs. Theo, right behind her. Lily smells like crayons and pancakes. Theo smells like bath soap and worry. You were sick for so long, Theo says accusingly. Dad said you had the flu, but you didn't sound like Grandma when she had the flu. That's because I didn't, she says dryly. I had a special kind of fever. It's over now. We made you cards, Theo informs her. Lily drew you a dinosaur. I drew you not dead. Cheerful she says, laughing weakly. Worked, didn't it? He mutters. She pulls them both in, breathing them in, letting their small, solid bodies remind her what real is. Over Lily's head, her gaze snags on Ryland's. Something deep and dangerous passes between them. This is not just employer and employee anymore. And the universe notices, because that afternoon, everything she's tried to bury claws its way back to the surface. The woman sits in the formal sitting room like she owns it. Angie doesn't need anyone to tell her who she is. The scent gives her away first. Expensive floral perfume, layered over sharp, ambitious, alpha female. The bone-deep entitlement in her posture. The way the staff's shoulders creep up an inch in her presence. Vivian Blackthorne. Old pack money? Ryland's longtime. What? Allie? Almost mate? Angle. Angie only knows the name because she's heard it whispered. Seen it in society pages the staff scrolls through on breaks. Vivian's smile when Angie walks in is razor thin. You must be the nanny, Vivian says sweetly. I've been dying to meet you. That makes one of us. Angie mutters under her breath. What was that? Nothing. She forces a polite smile. Can I get you anything? Tea? Coffee? Vivian's gaze drifts over her. Jeans, soft sweater, tired eyes, as if cataloging every flaw. You can get me answers, she says pleasantly. How did you end up here, Miss Morales? Angie's wolf crouches low. Every instinct says, this woman is more dangerous than any boardroom full of suits. I answered a job offer, Angie says, keeping her tone neutral. Ryland needed someone for Theo. Vivian's expression flickers at his first name slipping so easily from Angie's mouth. Interesting, she murmurs. You must be very good with children, or very good at something else. Angie's hackles rise. If you have a problem with me being here, maybe you should talk to Ryland. Oh, I did, Vivian says, lightly. He was surprisingly firm. Her lips twist. I'm simply trying to understand what makes one unbonded Omega worth risking a decade of alliances. What are you talking about? Vivian leans back. Ryland is more than a man, Ms. Morales. He's an alpha whose decisions affect hundreds. There are expectations. The council wants a proper mating, a union that strengthens the territory, not... Her eyes flick toward the east wing. Whatever this is. Angie's stomach knots. I'm staff, she says. That's all. You can tell your council buddies they can relax. Vivian smiles like a shark. If only they were the ones I was worried about. She rises in one smooth motion. Be careful, Miss Morales, she says as she glides past. Men like Ryland cannot afford to choose with their hearts. They never do. The words land like a curse. He's in his office when she storms in. Floor-to-ceiling windows. City laid out below like a map. Ryland at his desk, jacket off, tie loosened, shirt sleeves rolled. He looks up, startled. Angie? You didn't tell me your almost mate was coming over, she says bluntly. His brows slam together. Vivian is not my almost mate. She seems pretty convinced you owe her a ring, Angie snaps. He sighs, pinching the bridge of his nose. Vivian is complicated, he says. Our families pushed for a match for years. I refused. She still thinks, occasionally, that I might change my mind. And now you've got an Omega in your east wing, Angie says, bitterly. Makes for great gossip. His gaze sharpens. Is that what she said? She implied, Angie mutters. Look, I get it. You have responsibilities. Packs, council, whatever. You can't afford this. This? He echoes, voice low. What exactly do you think this is? She looks away. I think I'm one PR disaster away from being kicked out on my ass. He stands, moving around the desk. You think I'm that cowardly? He asks. that I would let other people's opinions decide whether my son keeps the only person who's made him feel safe in months. It's not just Theo, she blurts before she can stop herself. And you know it. Silence stretches. His eyes search her face, seeing far too much. You're right, he says finally. It's not just Theo. He takes another step, close enough she has to tilt her head back. It's you. Her heart stutters. I want you here, he says simply. Not because the council approves, not because it's politically smart, because you make this house feel like a home. She swallows. You realize I'm not the kind of omega alphas like you marry. You realize you're the only kind I want, he counters. Her brain fries. Before she can figure out how to answer that, a knock interrupts them. Grant. Sorry, sir, he says. But there's a situation. The past doesn't knock. It kicks doors open. She's not surprised when the call comes from an unfamiliar number. She is surprised when the voice on the other end is from a territory she should have erased from her memory. Angela, the sound of her old alpha's second's voice, freezes her in place. It's Angie now, she says, through numb lips. You have the wrong number. I don't think so, he replies. The Silver Creek Pack doesn't forget when its property runs away. Every instinct screams to hang up. Instead, she forces herself to breathe. You lost any claim you thought you had the day you handed me over to your alpha, she says, a chuckle. Cain was generous. He shared. You left quite an impression. Her vision goes white around the edges. What do you want? She whispers. Well, here's the thing, he drawls. We've been looking for you. Long time. But imagine our surprise when we see our pretty little runaway Omega in a society column. Nanny to Rylan Hale's pup, living in his house. She sinks onto the edge of the bed. A society column. Of course. Vivienne, counsel. One photo, snagged at the wrong moment. And suddenly, she's visible. What do you want? She repeats. Money would be nice, he says. Or leverage. A favor from an alpha like Hale. He's very protective of his assets, especially the small ones. Hot, sick dread crashes over her. If you come near these kids, relax, he cuts in. We're civilized men now. We'd never hurt a child. A beat. We'd just make things difficult for the mother who stole her from us. She isn't yours, Angie grinds out. Lily is mine. And she has a missing father on record, he says. Funny thing that. Courts don't always like that in custody cases. Neither do PACs. Imagine the scandal. Rogue conflict bastard raised under a CEO's roof. Counsel would eat that up. He has her. He knows it. This is how it goes, he says. You talk to your boss. You make sure certain contracts flow our way. Certain investigations get lost. We get a piece of the pie. In exchange, we don't tell the world who you really are. Her hand shakes around the phone. She could go to Rylan, tell him everything, trust him to fix it. Or she can remember every alpha who ever told her she was safe, right before they hurt her. She hangs up. Then she does something stupid. She tries to fix it alone. It unravels faster than she expects. She dodges Rylan for 2 days, which is not easy in a house like this. She says she's tired, blames the tail end of heat. He looks unconvinced, but gives her space. She stays up late in her borrowed bed, laptop glowing on her knees, trying to figure out how to shield him. Shield Theo, shield Lily. There are no good options. Leaving would keep the Silver Creek wolves away from Hale Estate. Maybe. People like that smell opportunity from miles off. Staying means letting them sink their claws into Rylan's world. That's worse. So, she packs a bag, just enough for her and Lily. Clothes, documents, the worn, stuffed rabbit Lily can't sleep without. She moves like a ghost through the East Wing. heart cracking with every step. Theo is asleep. She stands in his doorway for a long time, watching his chest rise and fall. His hand is flung out, fingers curled around the edge of the blanket, like he's holding on to the world. "I'm sorry," she whispers. He doesn't stir. She leaves the house the way she came, through the service entrance, down the hill, into a city that suddenly feels colder than it did 3 weeks ago. The old Honda coughs, protests, then starts. She pulls away, Hale Estate shrinking in the rearview mirror. She makes it 10 miles before her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She ignores it. It buzzes again, and again, and again. Finally, she throws the thing onto the passenger seat and keeps driving. She gets as far as the city line before the sobs hit. Lily wakes up, frantic, little arms reaching. "Where, Daddy?" Lily wails. "Where, T.O.?" Angie sobs harder. The cheap motel she ends up in smells like old cigarettes and despair. The neon sign outside flickers the word vacancy like a taunt. She pays cash. The room is tiny, loud, and reeks of maybe clean sheets. She gives Lily a bath in a tub that squeaks and tries not to think about Hale's deep soak marble masterpiece. She gets Lily to sleep. Then she sits on the edge of the bed and breaks apart. Back at the estate, Rylan reads the note 3 times. "Thank you for everything. Please don't look for us. Take care of Theo." It might as well be written on his skin with a knife. Grant watches him carefully. "Sir, check cameras," Rylan says, voice raw. "Already did." She used the service exit. Took the Honda. No debit charges since. Her phone's off. Rylan's alpha snarls. "She thinks she can disappear from me?" He mutters. "From my son. She thinks she's protecting you," Grant says, quietly. "Whatever this is, she thinks it's her mess." "She is my mess," Rylan snaps. "She is my—" He cuts himself off. Grant just nods, like he's seen the conclusion already. "The moment you hired an unmated Omega with a pup, you stepped into her mess. You know that," he says. "Question is, what do you want to do about it?" Rylan closes his eyes. Theo's wail echoes down the hall. "Where's Angie?" Theo sobs. "Where's Lily? She promised she wouldn't leave." That sound decides it. "Find her," Rylan says. "I don't care what it costs. I don't care who we have to annoy. She is Pack. We do not abandon Pack." Grant's mouth quirks in something like a smile. "Yes, Alpha." Angie lasts 48 hours before the knock comes. It's not Silver Creek. She knows even before she reaches the door. She can smell it through the cheap wood. Alpha, yes, but familiar, grounding. "Angie." Rylan's voice comes, rough. "Open the door." She considers pretending she's not here. Then Lily toddles up behind her, rubbing her eyes. "Dada," she lisps, hopefully. Her heart cracks. She opens the door. He looks like hell. Eyes shadowed, hair a mess, beard scruffing his jaw. He also looks furious. At her, at the world. It's hard to tell. "Hi," she says weakly. "Don't," he says. "Don't hi me." He steps in, closing the door behind him with careful control. The room seems to shrink. Lily throws herself at him. He catches her automatically, burying his face in her curls. She clings to his neck. "Missed you, Dada," she mumbles. His eyes close. He holds her like a drowning man. "Why did you leave?" he asks finally, voice quiet but shaking. "Why did you take my family and run in the middle of the night?" She flinches. We're not your family." He looks at her like she just slapped him. "You honestly believe that?" he asks. "After all this?" She wraps her arms around herself. "You have Pack expectations," she says. "Council breathing down your neck. Vivian and her perfect bloodlines. You can't afford." "This isn't about Vivian," he cuts in. This is about whoever called you. Her head snaps up. I'm not an idiot, Angie, he says. You were fine after your heat. You were fine through Vivian's passive-aggressive nonsense. Then you got one call, went ghostly white, and started avoiding me. I follow patterns for a living. He steps closer. Who threatened you? He asks softly. Who made you think running was your only option? Tears burn behind her eyes. You can't fix this, she whispers. Try me, he says. So she tells him. Not everything. Not all at once. But enough. The Silver Creek Alpha who treated Omegas like property. The night she was offered up as a problem solver. The months of nightmare. The runaway. The new name. The call. By the time she's done, Ryland's hands are shaking. They called you property, he says, voice terrifyingly calm. Yeah. And they want to use you to get to me. Yeah. And you thought the solution was to take my son's heart and rip it out of his chest. She looks away. His fingers curl into fists. Here is what's going to happen, he says. Her wolf whimpers. Command is a tangible thing in the air. You are going to pack your bag, he continues. And you are going to bring Lily. And you are coming home. She bristles. You don't get to. You can argue with me all you want about whether I have the right to protect you, he says. But you do not get to argue with me about whether I have the right to protect my son. The words hit like a slap. He has not eaten a full meal since you left, he says. He wakes up screaming every night. Lily crawls into his bed and asks for you until she passes out crying. She presses a fist to her mouth. You are not a burden, Ryland says, voice cracking. You are not a scandal. You are the only person who has made that boy feel safe since his mother died. I will burn down an entire territory before I let anyone leverage you. Something inside her, wired tight for years, sputters. Ryland, she whispers. You don't know what these people are. I know what I am, he growls. And I know what happens when someone threatens what's mine. The word hangs between them, mine. The part of her that believes in nothing wants to reach for it. I can't let you sacrifice your reputation, she says weakly. Your empire. Do you really think I care more about quarterly projections than about the 2 kids asleep under my roof? He asks. She thinks of the man sitting outside her door for 3 days. The pancakes. The way he looks at Theo when he thinks no one sees. No, she whispers. Good, he says, because I already called the council. Her head jerks up. You what? I told them, he says, that an out-of-territory alpha is threatening someone under my protection, that they're using blackmail and custody threats to try to extort me. The council is many things. Stupid is not one of them. They'd rather be on my side than on some has-beens. Her eyes widen. You told them about me. I told them someone from your old territory is trying to reach into mine, he says. I did not tell them details that are none of their business. You can do that, if and when you want. Or not. Her wolf perks up. Choice. It's a small word, huge thing. She swallows. And if they don't care, he smiles. It's not pretty. Then I stop pretending I'm only an alpha in boardrooms, he says, and remind them why everyone thought I'd eventually carve out my own territory anyway. Her breath leaves her. Come home, he says softly. We'll deal with Silver Creek together. You, me, Grant, the council, and a small army of lawyers. You don't have to do this alone anymore. Lily, half asleep on his shoulder, mumbles, Home. Angie breaks. Okay, she whispers. Okay. His shoulders sag in visible relief. Good, he says, voice rough, because I don't think Theo could survive you choosing anything else. The fallout is messy. Council hearings. Old records dragged into light. Silver Creek's alpha exposed for what he is. Vivian's father, who had been supporting him behind the scenes, publicly censured. Vivian disappears from social pages, quietly exiled to some rehab reflection retreat for problem alphas. Angie testifies once, behind warded screens, her scent masked. She shakes the whole time. Ryland sits beside her, his hand on the table between them, where she can touch it if she needs to. She does. The Silver Creek Alpha loses his pack. He doesn't die. She's quietly grateful for that. Death would make him a martyr in certain circles. Instead, he's stripped, sent away, forced to live among humans who don't care what his bloodline is. Rylan never once flinches at the whispers that swirl around them. He walks into council chambers with her on his arm and Lily on his hip. Theo ahead of them, chin up, eyes hard. Anyone who might have had something snide to say shuts their mouth when Theo's eyes flash gold for the first time in public. Future Alpha. Every instinct in the room says. Every instinct is right. 6 months later, the house smells like paint and cake. Lily's 3rd birthday. She's covered in frosting. Theo's trying to keep balloons from getting stuck in the ceiling fan, and Rylan is leaning in the doorway, laughing. Angie watches him, all the sharp parts of him softened by time and love. "Stop staring," he murmurs in her ear, sliding an arm around her waist. "You wish I would," she shoots back. His mouth curves against her temple. He still hasn't kissed her. Not properly, not with intent. He'd promised he wouldn't touch her while there was so much external noise. Council, threats, pack politics. He wanted whatever they were building to be built on something steadier than adrenaline. She didn't believe him at first. She believes him now, which is why, when he drops to one knee in the chaos of a 3-year-old's party, she forgets how to breathe. "Angie Morales," he says, voice rough. The room goes quiet in a weird, hushed way. Even Lily stops smearing frosting on her cheeks. "You have been the best terrible idea I've ever had," he says. "You moved in with more baggage than luggage and turned this house into a home. You made my son believe in good things again. You made my daughter's first memories be ones of safety and laughter, and you made me remember I am more than whatever I was before you." Her eyes burn. "I don't want you in my East Wing as staff anymore," he says. "I want you everywhere, as my mate, as Theo's mother in every way that matters, as Lily's safe place, as the Omega who looks me in the eye when I'm being an idiot." There's a ring. Simple. Gold. Not ostentatious. It glows in its little box like something mythical. "Will you bond with me?" he asks. "Not because you need protection, though I'll never stop giving it, but because you want to build this life with me on purpose." Theo's breath hitches. Lily gasps. "Mary, Mary," she chants. Angie laughs through her tears. "You really picked a subtle moment," she croaks. "Timing has never been my strength," he says. She looks at him, really looks, at the man who sat outside her door, who tracked her down in a motel and didn't yell, just asked who hurt you, who walked into councils with her at his side and didn't flinch when people whispered. "Yes," she says. The dam breaks. Theo whoops. Lily shrieks. Grant in the corner pumps a discreet fist in the air. Someone starts clapping. Then everyone's clapping. Rylan slides the ring onto her shaking finger. Her wolf surges forward, pressing against his with reckless joy. They kiss for the first time, with the sound of children's laughter around them. It tastes like sugar and relief and everything she thought she'd never have. There is a mating ceremony in the garden months later, under strings of lights and a full, fat moon. Packs come. Humans, too. It's messy, blended, not entirely traditional. It's perfect. Theo stands between them when the officiant asks who blesses this union. I do, he says firmly. I pick Angie as my mom, on purpose. Lily chimes in. Me too. There's laughter and tears. Somewhere in the middle of vows and bonds and chosen family, Angie feels something else snap into place. Belonging. It's quieter than fireworks, louder than anything. And when, a year later, she sits in that same garden, watching Theo help Lily hold their brand new baby brother, she knows she made the right choice. The little boy has her eyes, and Ryland's scowl. Lily pats his head like he's a kitten. Theo whispers, promises only an older brother can make. We're weird, Angie says softly, leaning into Ryland's side. Obviously, he agrees. We're also ours. Her hand finds his, fingers tracing the scar on his palm from some long-ago boardroom brawl. His thumb brushes over the bond mark at her neck, pride and tenderness wrapped together. You regret it, she asks quietly. Choosing this instead of... She gestures vaguely toward the city, the council, the life he was supposed to have. Every day, he says. Her heart stutters. Because, she pushes. Because I could have had this sooner if I hadn't been so stubborn, he says. That's the only thing I regret. Down in the yard, Theo looks up, spots them watching, and grins. Hey, he calls. We're a pack, right? Ryland squeezes her hand. Yeah, kid, Angie calls back. We're a pack. Not the one the council planned. Not the one her old alpha thought she'd be trapped in. Not the one Vivian pictured in glossy magazines. Better, built from broken pieces that refused to stay broken, held together with pancakes, late-night homework help, and the simple, impossible decision to believe love could be stronger than fear. A broke Omega mom comforted a crying rich boy in a park once. His alpha father watched, and somewhere between that first thank you for not leaving me alone in the chaos of kids underfoot and a house that smells like safety, they all found something none of them knew they'd been missing. Home. The end. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more paranormal romance and immersive audiobooks every week.